You're so good. You're so decent.
Yes.
Thank you for being you. I now present to you the 39th President of the United States, President Jimmy Carter.
Good morning. It's an honor for me to be here and to be introduced by one of America's heroes, John Lewis. He's my brother as well, in Christ and also as a Democrat and an American. Early this morning I was in a peanut field in Webster County and a cotton field nearby. We're getting ready to pick cotton this afternoon. This land has been in the Carter family since 1833, and Jason, the next governor of Georgia, he'll be the 7th generation to own the same land. His roots are deep in Georgia. Jason came home, worked at the Carter Center, traveled all over the world holding elections and reaching out to people who are in need. That's what he's doing now, running for governor, getting ready to help people in need. And all of us are in need of freedom. All of us are in need of equal rights. And that's not being done in Georgia now. And that new leadership was Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was my good friend. And while Jason was in the Peace Corps in South Africa, I decided to go and visit Nelson Mandela. Jason sent me an email. And he said, I want to go with you when you meet with Mr. Mandela, President Mandela. I said, no, we got too much to do. He and I have a lot of business to take care of. And Jason sent me an email back that changed my mind. He said, Papa, I want to meet a man who went to prison before he was in office. Well, I'm not going to try to say anything about the incumbent governor. I was impressed a minute ago to be introduced by John Lewis, because he represented and still represents one of the basic human rights. A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I were in Texas building habitat homes, 114 homes. And I think that one of the basic human rights is to own a decent home. Yes. To have food to eat, to feed your family, to have a decent education, and to have some kind of health care. Those things are missing for a lot of people in Georgia. But John Lewis and Martin Luther King Jr. saw that one of the basic human rights was the right to vote. And this is one that is everybody's attention in Georgia this day. We just had a few counties, not Muskogee, that went to the polls yesterday on Sunday to get registered and to vote. 9 counties, I think now, maybe 10 out of 159. The governor has opposed letting people in all the counties in Georgia vote on Sundays. And he represents typically the Republicans who have tried to do everything possible to keep people from registering to vote so they can cast their lot as a free, independent citizen of America. Voting is a basic human right. And Jason will be the one that will protect human rights when he gets in office. I'll let him describe what he's going to do for you, but I am very proud to introduce to you my oldest grandson, a great member of the Peace Corps, a longtime Georgian, and the next governor of Georgia, my grandson, Jason Carter.
Thank you all so much. It is such an honor for me to stand here with these remarkable men and women. And I am deeply honored to have my grandfather stand with me today and my grandmother stand with me. And as you heard and as you all know, these two people have lived out their faith every day of their life. They have represented this state and this country with honesty and with integrity. And they have always taught me that it's more important to be an honest, decent, good person than it is to be any kind of politician. And so I think they deserve a great round of applause for what they've done. Pastor, thank you so much for your leadership. Representative Hughley, Congressman Bishop, Congressman Lewis, it is a great honor for me to stand here. today with all of you and to take your support. But I'd like to introduce one other person up here. You all know my grandmother, Rosalind Carter, and I think she deserves it. Won't she make a good First Lady? Kate is a high school teacher. Our two boys are 8 and 5. And as my grandfather mentioned, my family has been in this state for generations. Those two boys are 10th generation Georgians. And the state that I want for them, and that I want for all of your children and grandchildren and for the generations that come after them, is a state that we can be. And right now, as we've said over and over again, Georgia has every ingredient that it needs to be a powerhouse. We've got great educational institutions. We've got dynamic, high-tech entrepreneurs here in Columbus. We've got Fortune 500 companies here in Columbus and throughout our state. We've got natural resources. We've got good leadership in this city. And we've got to make sure that we take those ingredients that we have in Georgia and put them together in a way that makes sense. But right now, what the current leadership of our state has done is take all the dynamic people of this state, the hardworking agriculture, the innovative high-tech entrepreneurs, as we talked about, the great educational institutions, the biggest port on the East Coast in a couple of years. They've taken all those ingredients, and we're dead last in unemployment. We're dead last in terms of how fast we're recovering from the recession. That makes no sense. Georgia has no business at the bottom. Period. Am I right? And the only person in the whole state who thinks that things are good right now is the governor. The middle class is falling behind. $6,500. That's the amount that the average family in Georgia makes today. That is less than what they did 10 years ago. Small businesses have been left out in Atlanta for too long, and 2 out of every 3 jobs in this state is made not by somebody with a direct line to the governor's office, but 2/3 of all the jobs are made by small businesses. And the governor has forgotten about those small businesses. And he's walking around saying that this is the pinnacle, that this is the best that we can do. But what we've said over and over again is, if this is the best that the governor can do, we need a new governor. We can do better. We can do better by investing in our people, by making sure that education is our first priority every year, not just in an election year. And I'm going to talk for a minute about ethics. I used to have a long speech about ethics, but it took too long to keep up with all the scandals. They had 7 scandals in 7 days a few weeks ago. But here's my position on ethics in the governor's office. I think we need some. We have everything that we need to win this election. We are on the verge of winning. And just imagine this. In the next 8 days, y'all work hard. You talk to your friends. You say, when are you going to vote? That ought to be the first question that you ask everybody that you see. When are you going to vote? What's your plan for voting, right? And I'd ask y'all that question now because you can vote today. So if you haven't voted, you should go vote today. It's just right across the street. And once you voted, then you ask every one of your friends, when are you going to vote? When are you going to vote? And then on election day, you got to take some folks with you to the polls. If we do that work, and as Carolyn said, it will be Columbus that makes the difference in this election. It will be the work that you do and the work that you do and the people that you've talked to, because you hear all this mess on television. You see the television ads that say all kinds of things about me. But nothing cuts through that like you talking to your friends. And if y'all will do that work, imagine this. We wake up on November 5th, and Georgia has a new governor. exciting set of policies that are taking the state into the future, that are taking this state back, that are putting education first, that's putting the middle class first, that's putting small business first, and that has honesty and integrity in our governor's office again. It will be a great day. I will be excited to be there with you. God bless you all. Thank you so much.